it's not like he's a hero who just all of a sudden comes into this world and he's like, ha, I'll take on anything and everyone. He's like, I'm a dude. This is weird, and I'm trying to figure out what I can do to not die, basically.
Which is one of yours, and that is a show with a long name.
I think they all have long names.
Yes.
Well,
So let me pull it.
so this one, Arafou no Isekai Tsuuhan Seikatsu, otherwise known as Date Online Shopping. So I'd like to give this one its fair shakedown and credit. But the idea that this was another version of campfire cooking and another one's skills kind of thing, but it's not. Also, in that one, in the campfire cooking in another world, I mean, he made food for this creature that followed him around. They had adventures that way.
Yes.
This dude got transported to another world, has the ability to shop online, much like the other characters in that one, and have things delivered to him. Also has to deliver money and spend it in the same way. This dude, on the other hand, though, he does cook every now and then, but for the most part, he's kind of a merchant.
Okay.
He's kind of setting himself up with being able to utilize his online shopping habits to essentially, he doesn't know what he's supposed to do in this world. He just knows he's here and he wants to try to live as easy a life as he possibly can. So he found a town and basically set himself up as a merchant and is just trying to afford enough money so that way he can make himself and just live out his days peacefully. Of course, this is an anime, so of course that doesn't happen. Can't have that happen. It wouldn't make for a good story. So things happen around him. It's funny in some ways because he's very not shy about what he does or what he pulls out. Or like at one point he bought himself a backhoe just because he was trying to terraform the landscape around this forest where he was trying to build his home at. Big old piece of machinery, and it's just like, no, he's like, nope. I'm like, all right, cool. So anyone can wander in and just be like, what's that? Where'd you get that? He does kind of gloss over kind of like where the things that he's always surprised when he pulls out some small piece of like his biggest selling item right from the beginning was
Okay.
he was very surprised about that, but it was some form of crafting and technology that the world he's in is not accustomed to. So of course they took an absolute loving to it because they're like, oh my god, this is so much better than what we use. Do you have more? I'll buy them all. So I mean, it's a fun story. It does have, I think the first episode, well, one or the other, I think it was the first episode, surprised me a little bit because, so by the time he gets to town and he wants to go, he realizes he has to learn, he understands the language. He understands the language, but he has to learn the writing and everything.
Okay.
So the very first inn he goes to, he decides he's going to ask the lady there who runs it if she could teach him how to read. And she agrees. In order to bribe her to do this, he gives her candy and then ends up drawing her. I guess he has some good artistic skills because he ended up drawing like a portrait of her. And then she decides that she's very grateful and she's been treated like royalty, so she's going to do him some additional service. And it kind of cuts away from that at that point, but it's alluded to what happens. And that's happened a couple times. I enjoy the fact that they allude to that and it's not like a direct, here it is kind of situation. We're just like, so that happened. Um, but it was kind of caught me off guard because it was very much not a very, it didn't go in that direction at first, but it headed that direction at least then, and it was just so sudden. It was like, oh, okay, we're doing okay, cool, sure.
So this is
Awesome,
this kind
awesome.
of show.
So this is this kind of show, but we didn't show anything. So I kind of prefer that better because it's alluding to it without showing it, kind of thing.
Okay.
Anyone smart enough can know, but at the same time, it's like, eh. So for the most part, this is kind of a very, like, I look forward to watching this one, but it's not like my most hyped, looked forward to show of the season by far.
Okay.
So
So I guess right now, what
it's
episode are you
definitely,
on?
I'm current. I think I'm on episode 4, I want to say.
Okay.
So I do intend on finishing it. I think it's lighthearted enough that it's enjoyable, something you can just sit down and watch without having to be overly invested in. It's just kind of like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's cool. Oh, okay. Ah, funny. Um, I would definitely rank it below Campfire Cooking in Another World because that just was, I believe, what they're trying to do, but done better in that regards.
Yes.
But at the same time, I still
It
think it's
does
cool.
make sense.
So,
Like, I also watched Campfire in Another World, and that show was fun because of the characters and the interactions between them. Like, the wolf was a joy to be around. Like,
oh, absolutely.
yeah, like you knew exactly why he was there and what he was gonna do next, and like he may trick you by like being sneaky, but once you're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this again, and
Yeah, here we go again.
yep. And a lot of the other characters, like the way that they just interacted with the main character, you knew that they're gonna try to come up with some scheme or something, like ask for something, and he's going to try to be, I don't know, like because there was a younger character in there, right? Like a little, I want to say little rabbit, but that's a different shot. Yeah.
That is slime.
Yes, yeah, the slime, and like it's just
Mm-hmm.
the most adorable thing, and like
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, so for that show, I could see why it would appeal. Like the other one would appeal more than this one because of the dynamic characters that it had in it. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah.
Like I said, it's not bad. It's just not amazing, and it definitely ranks below Campfire Cooking in Another World.
Okay.
You know, if I were to put Campfire Cooking at like an 8, I would say this would probably be like a 6.
Okay. Yeah. Um, do you have a favorite character so far?
I would say the main character Kenichi is he's interesting. He handles situations a lot of times that I would kind of agree like probably the same way I would handle
Okay.
them, where he's like
Mm-hmm.
he kind of freaks out at certain moments and just goes panic mode where he's like, oh my god, like he was in the forest where he got originally teleported to when he first got to this world,
Mm-hmm.
and he was riding around. He bought himself a bike at first to be able to travel on, and then when one of his stops, he ended up running across some wolves, and kind of freaked out. And at first, like he got himself some firecrackers to throw at him to see if he could scare him off. And then when that didn't work, he ended up getting a slingshot and some heavy BBs to be able to peg him and try to get him to run away. And I was like, I mean, if you don't have, because he's already said he doesn't have access to firearms and stuff because the website that he uses is essentially a website that, according to him, you find on in Japan. So they have their own limitations where it's like you can't purchase firearms or you can't purchase like swords and stuff like that. So like weaponry is kind of out of the realm, but like something like a slingshot is still acceptable.
Yeah.
So I
Like,
like the dynamics in that regards. But his reactions to that, I think, were kind of it seemed more the way I would think a real person would look at it and interact with it. So I appreciate the realism that gets put into that.
okay.
You know, it's not like he's a hero who just all of a sudden comes into this world and he's like, "Ha! I'll take on anything and everyone." He's like, "I'm a dude. This is weird, and I'm trying to figure out what I can do to not die." Basically.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, it is interesting to the way that they use the website, like the website that they
Mm.
choose to have the main character go from, because it's like it's not like a black market website where they can order anything that they want. They're like, no, it's
Mm.
more akin to like Amazon or something where you're like, you
Yeah.
can't buy crazy stuff on this website.
But for some reason, he can buy a backhoe.
So yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm still in the same moment where I'm like, it sounds interesting, but there's nothing really
Mhm.
like really pulling me in. Like I think
No.
with the other one, you mentioned like the wolf and something like that, and I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta check this out.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
Have you not seen Campfire Cooking yet?
I saw the first, yeah, the one with Faf. Is it Fafnir? No, or is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I did see that little adorable slime. So
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's amazing. I think that one by far it exceeds that for me when it comes to non like heavy action isekais, when it's just like, you know, kind of a slice of life almost situation,
hmm.
is top tier.
Okay, cool.